Good evening, 12th grade students, parents, and high school counselors. Thank you so much for joining us for the Knowledge at KPT Admissions 101 workshop series. We have a very special guest here today on a very special topic that I know many of who are participating today have written to us about, and it's about the F1 student visa process. And Ms. Carla Ragosa, who's from Florida Southern College, would be happy to share some information with you regarding the F1 student process. As you may know from our outreach campaign, Ms. Kala will be beginning with the topic session for the day, and then of course moving on to her institution's information from Florida Southern College. As we have stated in the past sessions, kindly please ensure to post all your questions in the Q&A box and not in the chat box so that they can be organized and in one place, as Ms. Kala would love to answer all of your questions towards the end of the session once she's done with her presentation for the day. Having said that, I'm now going to hand over the stage and the microphone to Ms. Kala. Ms. Kala, thank you so much for joining us this evening here in India and a very early morning there in the US. We know it's early in the morning, so thank you so much for your kind time. I sincerely welcome you to the Knowledge at KPT Admissions 101 workshop series, and I hand over the stage and the microphone to you. All the very best to you. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much. Hello, thank you for being here. My name is Carla Regosa, and I represent Florida Southern College as the International Admissions Counselor. We're located here in Lakeland, Florida, very sunny, very hot here. And one of the things, of course, like we said, we're going to be talking about the F1 student visa process. I did make a PDF for us. Please know that I will go ahead and share this afterwards. As you can see, I added some very special links on there and things that we will be able to use afterwards as reference. I really always like to give my students and my families something to take with them. And so you will be able to have this PDF with you all. With a F1 student process, a student will initially, when they're going through that search, it is important to make sure that they are looking for a school that actually offers the ability for an international student to study. So it's very important to research your options. And most schools will have the F1 student visa process enabled, but please know that not every school is eligible to be able to have wonderful students like you all. There is a process and you have to be eligible through the Department of Homeland Security. So I added some links that will actually take you directly to the government site that gives all the list of schools that are F1 student eligible and M1 student eligible. And I could definitely talk about those differences later. At Florida Southern, like for example, we offer F1 student visa process. And then I also say that it's important to connect with the Education USA office nearest you. So I added the link there as well, where you can actually find the advising center nearest to you all. There are several offices in India. So that's actually quite nice for you all to be able to connect. Education USA advisors are, I would say, very similar counterparts to what an admissions counselor representative is, except that they would be unbiased since they are there to represent all education in the United States. And of course, you will, once you select the schools that are eligible for F1 student, for example, then you would definitely connect with your admissions counselor there, like myself, and apply to those schools and make sure that you meet those criteria. Afterwards, all will go well, right? And you will likely get your acceptance offer from that school. Please know that you cannot start an F1 student visa process until you've actually been accepted to the school and also chosen to enroll. So once you get all your acceptance offers, you need to, with your admissions counselor, make sure like it's the right school for you. You still go through that deciding process. I always say that academic fitness is important, but also financial fitness is important, especially since we'll talk about later, that is a requirement for the I-20 process. So once you decide on the school that you want to go to, it is likely that the school will require an enrollment deposit. Think of this like a security deposit to save your spot. Let's say if you were buying, renting out an apartment or something like that, very similar. Once that happens, it is likely that your school will start the I-20 process. This is a certificate of eligibility for non-immigrant status. You need that form. It can only be created by a designated school official at the school. So most admissions counselors at the school, like myself, are also designated school officials and can create this I-20 document. The I-20 document typically requires a copy of passport, because we need to match your name on your passport exactly as stated. And then it can be an expired passport, by the way, it's okay. And then proof of funds. Each school can be very different on what they require as proof of funds, but all that is needed for the I-20 is for a student to submit at least the cost of expenses for tuition, room, meal plan, and any additional like medical insurance, for example, minus the scholarship offer. That amount is what needs to be showing on the I-20 document. So typically we need to see a proof of funds. It could be a letter from a bank stating that this account has at least this much funds on there. And then from there, make sure to keep the original with you. Admissions counselors just need a copy in order to create that I-20 document. From there, we will be able to mail you that I-20 document. At this point, due to the pandemic, we have been allowed to email these documents. Normally, they want the original signature, but as of now, it seems like we're able to send electronic I-20s with our electronic signatures. And from there, you are able to use the I-20 document will give you a CVIS ID number. That's Student Exchange and Visitor Information System. That is where all records for students studying in the United States are. You will have to pay an I-9001 CVIS fee. This cost can vary. It can be up to like $350. So it is important to have some additional funds set aside to pay your CVIS fee. Make sure to keep that receipt. And then afterwards, you will be able to apply for your visa. This is everything you've been wanting to do, right? So the F1 student visa can be issued as early as 120 days in advance. So that's about 4 months before a start term. And then from there, you can go onto your consulate office page and set up that appointment. I specifically for this document have the link that will directly send you to the India consulate offices, and then from there you can select the one that you're nearest to. There will be another fee. I apologize for all these additional fees that the government asked for, but this one is non-refundable for the visa application fee. Right now it's set for 160 US. You will actually have 2 appointments. So you will schedule for your photo and fingerprints appointment. There will be a set place, designated place that you will set that appointment for and take your photo. Sometimes you're able to upload your own photo and then also do the ink-free fingerprints. So they will take a digital scan of your fingers. And then from there, you will also set up your visa interview appointment. This is all noted on the site. So it is always good to check, as each office can select to require more documents or not. But for the most part, you're always supposed to submit your passport. You're supposed to bring your DS-160 confirmation page. That is really just your visa appointment receipt. And then the CVIS fee payment receipt, the original Form I-20. Again, this is just typical, but as of right now, pandemic will allow for an electronic I-20. And then I have the check for your consulate office link to see if there's any additional documentation that they may ask. Depending on the country, again, I don't think India, when I've worked with students in the past, I've ever asked for anything additional, but it can be every now and again that they ask for a letter of enrollment or payment that has already been made, like this year for a certain country, one of the consulate offices asked for 50% of the tuition already have been paid. So everything can change, and the consulate office is in its own right to ask for additional documentation. And so remember to bring this. Typically, you will likely be asked to submit the the original bank statement letter if there's any question on that. So it is always good to bring that. I work with you guys as an admissions counselor. If you were to be enrolling to Florida Southern, I set up one-on-one interview times just to make sure before your interview that you have everything that you need, and we go over that. But the next step will be to attend your visa interview. So that is typically where my students feel the most anxiety. It is really interesting, you know, you go do the interview, they'll ask, it is likely that you will just do a visa questionnaire right beforehand. And so you will submit the answers to a lot of those questions. And what the consulate officer will do is review those answers. And if they need any additional information, they may ask you for clarification on something. So everything is going to go smoothly because all they're trying to do is see if your intention is really to come to school and that you're really a non-immigrant. And I know that that's what you guys are obviously planning to do, so there will be no issue with that visa interview and everything will go well. After that, there's typically a processing time. Prior to the pandemic, it was very fast for students from India to get their visa information back and be accepted. But right now there may be some delays, and we'll see what that looks like in this next coming year. So just know that it typically is a good idea to try to do this visa interview, you know, ahead of time instead of a month before classes start. And then I mentioned Education USA earlier. I think it's so important to let Education at USA know about your travel plans. Tell them what school you're going to. It's really cool, especially if you like to, you know, just talk about like your goals and things like that. Will likely maybe interview you or just talk through any of your doubts that you may have. I know that the India Education USA offices, they all do pre-departure orientations, which are really fantastic because you get to go over just like anything from what you're going to be expecting at Customs Border Patrol, where you go through port of entry, to like what things to just think about even before that maybe your admissions counselor may not particularly know as far as what your travel plans are. But it's just a really good idea to let them know and stay in touch with Education USA. Afterwards, with you know, it doesn't just stop there. The next part is obviously entering the United States. So remember that with an I-20 document, it says on there the date of entry for when classes begin. And you can enter the country 30 days before your official program start date. So that's quite nice. For Lakeland, Florida, a lot of my families may do a trip and go to Disney World or Universal Studios and make it a trip right beforehand and do, you know, one last big family trip right before the student is to start classes. So that's always quite nice, but definitely let your admissions counselor know about your travel plans because just because you can show up 30 days before classes start does not automatically mean that your room and that the school is actually ready to have you on campus. We do typically have an international orientation. Most schools will have something like that where you arrive a few days before classes start, but typically not a month before classes start. So if you need any sort of housing accommodations, things like that, it's very good to let us know, your admissions counselor know beforehand, because we want to make sure that it's a smooth transition into campus. And definitely make, before traveling, entering, definitely make 2 copies of all your documents. it is a classic for first time, traveler or something like that, for them to put, your passport, your visa, and your Form I-20 in your checked bag. And that is not a good idea, because you will need to have those documents present at the port of entry. So the very first flight from India, when you enter the United States, you will have to go through the Customs Border Patrol. They will ask a set of questions and ask for your passport, your visa, and your Form I-20. And you want to make sure to have that. If you say you have left it in your checked bag, then there's a lot of paperwork to do. They will have to try to reach out to me and confirm that you truly are a student. And what if it's very late at night and Carla is sleeping and doesn't know that you didn't pack your things correctly? So very important, make sure to have copies of that and have that readily available to pull out of your bags and present to the Customs Border Patrol officer. They will do, at this point, it's now electronic if you come through port of entry, a Form I-94. This is the document that shows everywhere that you've been in and out of countries of sorts. So basically they want to see when you're coming in and when you're flying out, things like that, to make sure that you truly are studying in the United States and studying, for example, at Florida Southern. So this will all be done electronically. You won't actually see this Form I-94 anymore, but it will be something that the Customs Border Patrol will fill out and complete. And so that is going to signify to the designated school official that you are in the country, which is good news. And so we will be waiting for you. You are to report to the school before your start date listed. So again, if you want to do some family time in Orlando, in Disney World, that's fine. But right before your start date that is listed, you need to report to the school. We will do an orientation, probably depending on when you get there, we'll have an orientation set up to go over how to maintain your status, how to be in good standing with your F1 student visa. So again, I'll say it many times, let your designated school official, that is also known as your admissions counselor at most schools, of your travel plans. And when you arrive, one of the things that we need to do is make sure to tell SEVIS, remember I said that Student Exchange Visitor Information System, we need to document and say, yes, the student is here. And so that is very important. But after that, you're going to have a great time because you're going to be in school and you're going to have a lot of fun things. So that's really a lot about the F1 student visa process, from the very beginning of researching the school all the way up until the day you arrive. It's a whole process. Some additional things that are on here is that, it is important to know that there is no guarantee that you will be issued a visa. In India, it is very likely, the percentage rates of issued visas is very high, but do not make your final travel plans or buy tickets until you have your visa. And also, things that we can talk about later is that your F1 visa has benefits. F1 students can work on campus, typically up to 20 hours a week. They can do CPT, which is called curricular practical training. So that's part of the training opportunities. That will typically be an internship. So there are opportunities to work off campus once you're ready, but it is very particular to your major. So if you are an accounting major, you can't take a fishing job, off campus. It has to apply to the accounting, for example, of that, and make sure that it's about your work. And then there's optional practical training that's called OPT. And that is a 1 year of work experience that you can do after graduation. There is a process. Part of the orientation and maintaining your status that your school will do with you is explaining these processes to you. And so every year at Florida Southern, we meet with each class of students and we're like, okay, you're a first year student. These are the things that you are eligible for. You can drive if you want to. You are not required to drive on our campus or anything like that, but it is a benefit that an F1 student visa holder can apply for if they choose to want to learn how to drive, for example, and things like that. So I just wanted to go over F1 student visa process here. I'm going to look at some questions and see about what we have here in particular to F1 student visa process. I'll answer those, and then we'll go over Florida Southern College. So I see, would it be possible to go over how OPT and CPT differ? Yep. So I think I mentioned that earlier, but OPT is for work experience after you've graduated. So typically a student after graduation with their bachelor's degree is going to be able to do 1 year of work experience. CPT is while you're in school. So that's more so like an internship. The student would be studying a full-time course load and also doing an internship as a part of their experience. And most students, you know, US citizens and such, do this around their 3rd year of study. So I call them juniors. At that point, they are already taking their 300 level coursework, you know, more involved in their major, and will be likely to be able to land an internship and understand, versus a 1st year student, maybe with no background on that subject that they're interested in. Why do I-20 costs appear to be slightly higher than the costs mentioned on the college website? Oh, I don't have anything on the website. I-20 costs is not run by the school. I-20 costs, maybe you may be mentioning the CVIS fee payment. That is actually run by the federal government. It varies. So you will have to go on the CVIS fee payment site and check on there. Like I said, that one can vary, but it can be up to like $350 I've seen. So I always tell students to keep that aside. And it is required to be made, the CVIS fee payment, in order for you to even set up a visa interview. I will share this PDF copy. It sends you directly to the link sites of these things. These are not processes or fees that the institutions are setting. These are processes and fees that the federal government has set. There is oftentimes that a school may charge you for processing these things, but please know that at Florida Southern College and most schools will not have a fee for that. So we'll try. I do not have a processing fee to make an I-20 for you. At Florida Southern, we require for the student to submit an enrollment deposit and say they truly are coming here, because what oftentimes happens is that a student will send out for multiple I-20s, and that can cause actually a negative impact on the student sometimes if they have too many CVIS accounts set up for them. So it is typically good for you to just have your one document. I know that maybe you've heard somebody doing something and they were able to do it, but again, it's typically not best practice. So I think, and as far as basic tips for US visa interview, there's going to be a visa questionnaire likely that you will be given beforehand. It is good just, you know, to treat it just as any important interview. You know, I tell students, it's like, dress nice and be polite with the consulate officer. This person is going to review you. What they're going to try to look for is to see if there's any reason why the student would go out of status and try to immigrate illegally into the country. I know you think like, oh, well, that I wouldn't do that, but people have done it, and therefore that is what their job is. So typically you just show them, hey, you know, I'm really interested in studying this program here in the United States. But again, there's no reason. A lot of times when they look at the visa questionnaire as of late, there may not even be any additional questions. They'll just say, you know, show proof that you really are the person that you say you are, and then you will be able to get it. Again, India has a very high acceptance rate for visa processes. So that's quite good. When do colleges in the US courier to the United States? Will this be before admissions deposit? Okay, so every school can issue an I-20 at any point that they decide. Most schools will do it after the deposit is made because the enrollment deposit is going to signify that the student now is really coming to Florida Southern College, for example. But There are some schools out there that will do it at the point of being accepted without having to do the enrollment deposit. You just typically will have to submit those additional proofs of funds and the copy of the passport. So you still need to have all that. Whether the student does it before the deposit or afterwards is going to depend on the school. Again, at Florida Southern, we would do it after the enrollment deposit is made. Okay, so I think for most of these, we've answered the questions. How many months in advance do you recommend we should apply? You can only apply as early as 120 days in advance. So that's 4 months before the start term. That is the earliest. Also keep in mind that you have to cross-check with whatever the school's enrollment policy is if there's a certain date. National College Decision Day for the United States is May 1. So typically you would want to submit and make your decision by May 1. However, there are different type of school models. So I'll talk more about that. And so you have to kind of cross-reference with each side. And then I did answer earlier about, are we required to carry out all of our original academic documents? You don't need to bring everything with you. You just need to bring your passport, your I-20 document, really, but that I mentioned earlier. But again, it doesn't hurt if you just want to bring a folder with all your things, just in case for Customs Border Patrol. Typically, they just want to look at the I-20 and the visa. Because that will have everything, and they're not there to really question the visa. They just want to make sure it matches everything that it says on their system, because they need to accurately log in all that information back onto the I-94. So I hope that's helpful. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to stop share here and start my new one here, and start our presentation about Florida Southern College. I'm very excited to be presenting for you all on the school from beginning. And then share screen. Yay! Alrighty, so
Carla, we can see your screen. Thank you.
We're going to talk a little bit about Florida Southern College and the opportunities that are there. We are located in Lakeland, Florida, which is right between, it's really in the center part of Florida, right between, if you're familiar with the big city of Orlando and Tampa, we're right in between them. We have a couple of really great resources. If you go onto our flsouthern.edu/experience FSC, we have a lot of student-led virtual tours, academic webinars. So our professors set up different programs and majors and made videos. We've really normally already had a lot of this, but you can even check out what a dorm room looks like and what some of our different opportunities are, all on video. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, we're located in Lakeland, Florida. A couple of things a history about Florida Southern. We were founded in 1883. It does make us one of the oldest religiously affiliated colleges. So we initially started as a United Methodist school for ministry and such. And then from there have grown into about 70 different majors, programs up to the doctorate level. It is not required to take any religious coursework, but know that we do have like a ethics cornerstone to hold students to the highest accountability and be the best that they can be. There's about 3,500 students on the campus. On average, there's about 18 students in the classroom. And then what makes us unique, if you look at some of the structures, like on my right-hand side, we were designed by Frank Lloyd Wright, which is a famous American architect. And it's very unique in the sense it actually ranks us as top 10 most beautiful campuses in the country. We've won in a couple years in a row, most beautiful campus in the country. And we'll be able to see a couple videos as to why, but it is quite stunning to be taking instruction in this level of architecture buildings. Our students are taught different things, majors, and with that, there's just been a lot of really, really great opportunities that Florida Southern has to offer. Gerald Cavey on our top side, he was a finance and economics major. He did an internship at Lockheed Martin, which is a pretty big company. They do a lot of really great things. They're located, they have a couple offices nearby, but one of the local offices is more about the accountability, financial aspect of things. He is an international student when he studied here. So he's actually working in the operational risk consultant at KPMG over in London. So he went back home. And then we also have just some of our superstars. Another one, Sophie Morgan, marine biology major. She actually has quite a fun Instagram to follow since she works over as a beluga whale maternity nurse at the Georgia Aquarium. She is also a penguin trainer, so really great opportunity. She actually started the equestrian club on our campus, so we do have now a division club sport with equestrian. If you are interested in horses, that's something that you can also do. And then the marine biology program, we have a shark facility that we track over in Bimini Island. So our students typically will do an entirely free study abroad experience 1 week and do shark tagging there. And again, she just got a lot of really great opportunities. It's really quite difficult to be able to work for a well-known zoo like the Georgia Aquarium and be able to do this so quickly. But at Florida Southern, our students do get really well prepared to just succeed. Again, we have over 70 different academic programs, 16 pre-professional tracks for those interested in maybe advancing into a graduate degree. Anything under businesses, nursing, health sciences, physical therapy, education, arts and sciences we offer. The pre-professional tracks can go anywhere from medical, dental, pharmaceutical, physical therapy. We have speech language pathology. We have communication sciences disorders, a lot of different programs within the pre-professional track, pre-law, all those things. We also offer 11 master's and doctorate programs. So there are pathway opportunities for students to continue their education at Florida Southern. We have accelerated options as well. So master's in accountancy, business administration, education, and then psychology are 4+1s, which means that your senior year, your fourth year of undergraduate studies, you will actually start taking graduate coursework at the undergraduate cost, which is quite nice. So if you have scholarships added, that will work. And then you just do 1 more year of graduate school, and you will be done in 5 years instead of 6 with a bachelor's degree and a master's. Lake Erie College of Osteopathic Medicine is actually nearby us. They have 6 different campuses throughout the country for medicine, dental, and pharmaceutical. We have a preconditional admission process for highly competitive students to actually already be admitted into medical, dental, or pharmaceutical school before even starting at Florida Southern College. There is still criteria. You still have to take your exams in order to get there. But I think this is very important, and a lot of my international students take advantage of this because some of us may know that for international students to actually get into a medical program, it's actually less than 1%. It is very, very competitive. However, there is an advantage when you do your undergraduate school already in the US and go to schools that already have set partnerships in order for you to be able to enter. It's not really that international students do not meet the criteria. It's just that it's very competitive to begin with. And so having these partnerships and you do meet the admissions criteria, because you've worked hard for it, then you'll be able to have a seat in Lake Erie College of Osteopathic Medicine if you were to come study at Florida Southern. It is very nice, and I know that that's an advantage. You don't have to go to LECOM. We have other opportunities as well, and you would have a pre-health advisor to be able to attend and work towards a school that you may be interested for medical school, for example. Again, our class size average is about 18 students in a classroom, so very nice. Our big thing is engaged learning, so not just doing theoretical instruction about what it will be like in the real world, is trying to get you in the real world as soon as possible and complement that with your studies. So anybody majoring in the sciences, for example, their first year biology class, you actually start taking microbial samples with the Tiny Earth Initiative, and what you're looking for is antibiotics. Last year, one of our students received the Goldwater Scholarship in order to continue his studies towards eye diseases. He competed with students at the doctorate level, so I'm very proud of him. But his freshman year, what he did was take eye booger samples, which is quite gross, I know, but that's what he needed to do. And he was able to find that there was some sort of antibiotic sample from there and continue his research. So by the time he was a third-year student, he submitted his proposal and had a lot more work that he started even from his first year starting here, and was able to receive the Goldwater Scholarship. He is now a candidate for the medical school program at University of South Carolina, which is one of the most competitive in the country for medical school. So again, we're very proud of him. But it means something different, right, within each major. So, you know, what an English major does, for example, somebody who's more involved into English literature, for example, British literature, right? That person is going to be more involved, obviously not in science laboratories, but more so in conferences. So we present in over 250 conference presentations in 1 year with all of our different majors and programs. So there's different conferences, honors organizations and such. Our psychology majors all submitted their research projects across the nation. There's a conference that was held last year in Jacksonville, Florida, and 6 of our students got their research accepted to continue further with a complimentary doctorate level person or research grant. So it's very, very impressive. Our business students, our classroom is set up to look like the stock market and is live. So there are students that are given actual Florida Southern funds to help grow if they're interested in that. But studying those trends and such, that's Dr. Benthal there on the marketing side. And working with that. We also have an honors program at Florida Southern College. These students, the benefit for those students who are just looking to get the additional challenge are going to be able to do that with the honors program. Those students are able to take up to 20 credit hours, which on average, I will tell you that most students are able to take up to 18 credit hours. That's about 6 courses, but those students who want to take an additional challenge can do that at no additional cost because they are in the honors program for that. And also we'll take honors classes and such, which typically have just additional components where maybe there's more research involved in something. So honors is definitely a benefit. Right there we have Elena Stenley, the girl holding the turtle. Elena Stenley is a Fulbright awardee. Actually worked with her last year because she was in Ghana. So her major is more in the marine sciences, environmental sciences. She submitted research on clean water initiatives and such, and was able to continue that study at a brilliant university in Ghana through Fulbright for 1 year. She also worked at the Education USA office. So she presented a couple of things for me in Ghana. But Lena's doing great. She's actually over at University of Florida doing her graduate degree right now. So she's doing fantastic. I'm very proud of her. Florida Southern has 3 guarantees. So I know while you're looking at these schools, you're like, oh my goodness, all these schools sound the same. The admissions counselors are saying maybe similar things. Admissions processes are typically very similar, but at Florida Southern, there's 3 things that we guarantee that you will have. And so you'll be able to study abroad, participate in an internship, and graduate in 4 years. And so right now, you're probably looking at that and saying, Carla, every school offers that. What do you mean? And so already included in your tuition is a study abroad trip. I know you guys are coming from India. You're like, Carla, I'm studying abroad already. Yes, you are. But this is very particular because you're going to be able to apply what you are studying, you know, in a US-centric landscape, right? You're doing that in the United States, but then also apply it somewhere else. We really want to make sure that what you're learning is going to be applicable internationally and at that global level. So again, 70% of our students take advantage of this travel abroad trip, again, because it's really at no cost to you for the most part. I know, like I mentioned, that marine science trip over to Bimini is completely free. Everything is covered. There are some that maybe you have to cover your food and such, or maybe additional minor costs, but it's really very low cost. A lot, oftentimes, a school that offers study abroad, you still have to pay almost everything on top of your tuition and scholarships that you're already paying for at the university that you're attending. So this is very, very great opportunity for students to do anywhere from applying healthcare in Spain. We did environmental sciences over in Costa Rica, wildlife research in Alaska. I know that's the United States, but it is quite a unique place in the United States. We also do a trip to Hawaii for volcanic research. And that was quite interesting to do. Complete an internship. So sometimes your study abroad trip can complement your internship as well. But it is so competitive right now, all like it is competitive after graduation. You're looking at these internship opportunities, you know, maybe your OPT, and you're seeing that when you're going through the interview process that they don't just want you to be academically successful, they want you to have that experience. And so we need you guys to have your internship in order for you to look competitive with the employers later on. One of our students was able to do rhino research. She did a study abroad trip in the Galapagos Islands. This is a student that is currently attending veterinary school at Auburn University, also quite competitive, and then did an internship in South Africa to do some rhino research as well. Worked at the Tampa Zoo, which is actually very well renowned. Where we have a Netflix show, the Tampa Zoo. And so very good. And then nursing, for example, that is a student right there that we do have students going into the field right away with nursing. They're doing clinical hours, going into the hospitals, doing delivery and such. But just like I mentioned earlier about the study abroad, this student in particular did her study abroad trip and learned about NICU and all that in Thailand. And then got to kind of see the similarities and differences into what health sciences means in different countries. Graduation on time. Okay, so this is a big one, especially for the parents. On average, students are not graduating in 4 years in the country. So in the United States, the average is 4.5 to 5 years. This is not including an engineering degree, which is typically averaged at 5 years anyway. So what Florida Southern is doing is that with our advising support, we do 4-year plans. We work with the students one-on-one to make sure that they are able to graduate on time. If not, if for whatever reason it is Florida Southern's fault, meaning that we did not offer the coursework necessary for you to graduate on time, then we will cover the rest of your tuition until you do. This is a really big one, graduation on time. And I think it just sets us apart. Right now, we're at about a 35% higher rate than the rest of the other competitive schools out there in as far as graduation on time, which I think just supports more of like the different types of services that Florida Southern has to offer. I know we do a little bit of hand holding, but I think it's very important to just check in on a student every semester, more than once at least, and just check in on them, see how they're doing, where they're at, because that level of uncertainty, even just emotional experience, definitely is impactful on the academics. And we want to make sure that you guys are doing well. We do have some statistics, so you can go on, you know, College Board, National Scorecard, or anything just to pull these things up. But we do a survey 6 months after graduation, and 97% of our graduates are either employed or attending graduate school within 1 year of graduation. So we normally do this survey 6 months after graduation, and then 6 months later, we just double check again. And so we're at a very high rate. 90% of students who graduate from Florida Southern College do so in 4 years total or less. So yes, we are advanced credit friendly. So those students, for example, in India, it's very common for you all to do your advanced level coursework, maybe under the British curriculum, and we do transfer those credits over for college credits, which will typically take about, you know, a semester or a year off of the progress towards your school. So oftentimes my students are graduating in about 3 years to 3.5 years. Also underneath the banner, you can kind of see a couple of the partnerships that we have. Moffitt Cancer Center, they typically do about take about 5 of our students to do internships with them every year. We don't have an actual partnership with Boston College School of Law, but very, very high amount of our students will typically apply there. We do a lot of preparation. I mentioned earlier the student that was carrying the rhinos. She's currently at Auburn University College of Veterinary Medicine. She's not the only Florida Southern College student attending there. Lockheed & Martin, very, very big company. They do a lot of things with all types of students, communications, engineering, business. So a lot of different types of students will go there. For education, those interested in elementary education and such, Polk County Public Schools will typically hire our students 6 months before even graduating. And then the Polk County, the area that we're at, will typically even cover the graduate degree. Walt Disney World is very close to us, so sometimes students that are more involved in the performing fine arts will want to go into that field, but please know that Walt Disney World is not just on the entertainment side. They're also a Fortune 500 company. So we have students that are in the marketing side of things, for example, that will actually present. There's also like teaching opportunities there as well. And so we have different types of majors that will work with them. And then Publix is a headquarters grocery store. They're actually located here. I know it's a grocery store, but they are chemistry students, for example, will do quality assurance and do internships that way, and sometimes get hired on to continue to work. So different opportunities there. I talk a lot about where Florida Southern will take you, but you know, on average, students will be here for 4 years. And so what that experience is like, we do have a 4-year residency requirement. We do unofficially guarantee housing for all of our students. As you grow at Florida Southern, your housing will also kind of grow. Traditionally, you will start off in a first-year living experience. So you see that bottom left-hand corner, that's the Carol Barnett living and learning community. And so that's where all of our first-year students live. It is co-ed. Each floor is a different sex, so same sex on each floor. Your roommate will be of same sex as well. And so that is typically where you will be living your first year. We do have 16 different types of residence halls, apartments, and houses that students share. So again, most likely your last and final year, you'll be at a off-campus housing. It's about, you know, less than 5 kilometers from the campus, and we do offer shuttle transportation that goes every 20 minutes. So you don't necessarily need a car right away. So lots of things to grow from there. And then we have different types of meals on campus. We have our main cafeteria that offers all dietary restrictions available and is the most often open. I really like the cafeteria because you can pretty much like cater to what your specific needs are. So for example, if there's like a a chicken or something like that that they are making, you can specifically ask for like grilled, fried, or simmered, marinated. They have different types of options. They offer sushi here, so you can go through that as well. You can make your own sandwich, different things. But I know I have students that are gluten-free, vegetarian, vegan, and there are options for those students as well, again, because you can pretty much almost set up your own food there. And then we have different restaurants throughout the campus, so it's quite nice because you don't always have to go to cafeteria. Our business building is a little bit further out from where the rest of the academic buildings are at, and so there are dining services nearby as well, which is quite nice. Oh, we went too ahead. So there's always something fun to do on the campus. I will say right now with the pandemic for the fall 2020 term, there will be no sports except esports. So we have 20 varsity sports, 30 national championships so far received. We're in the Division II level. And then we also have club sports. So as you've heard, Lakeland, the land of many lakes, we have a wonderful Lake Hollingsworth right across our campus, and that's where our students will do water ski. I'm very excited because this last year, World Championship that represented the country of Chile in China, she was very well represented there, and she actually attends Florida Southern College, so I'm very proud of her. But we have Equestrian, like I mentioned, that Sophie Morgan started. Esports, I don't know too much about esports as far as like understanding, but esports is actually one of like our most competitive right now. They are undefeated in League of Legends, for example, and I don't know what that game is, so I apologize. But they're very, very competitive, and they do offer some scholarships for that. And then ice hockey, we just started, very, very fun nearby the campus, and also cheerleading. And so some of these sports do offer additional scholarship. Please know that you typically have to connect with the coach, as admissions cannot interfere with athletics recruitment or vice versa. So I can give you the contact information for anybody, but I cannot do much else as far as give my personal opinion about whether or not you should be involved in a sport, just because we do not allow coaches to interfere with what is deemed as admissible for a student. And then on the bottom right with our, in the United States, we have mascots that represent our athletic team. So we're the water moccasins, which is a snake. And then you can see Moxie there, and also President Dr. Ncaa, who represents our school very, very successfully. Other types of student services on the campus. Again, we are here, like I said, that 4-year guarantee for you to be successful. There are many, many services that will help you. Student Solutions Center, that's where you go to. You don't know what's going on with a class, you have a concern about something, you go to Student Solutions. You're gonna have an advisor there that you will likely have spoken to many, many times. So hopefully you'll have a nice connection with them. Writing Center, submit your research, any of your papers, do your work ahead of time, send it over to the Writing Center, have them help you review it, and submit it afterwards. So if you actually do your work on time, it does pay very well, because you can have somebody from the Writing Center review it at no additional cost, right? It's something that a student worker could do. So this is something that you can potentially, if you like reviewing papers and such, work as a student and help other students learn how to write papers, how to appropriately reference their paperwork, things like that. Office of Career and Continuing Education. These are the people that are going to help you with your internship. They do know how to work with international students and will help you with looking for CPT and OPT as well. You will have an international student advisor, which is located in the Simmons Center of Multicultural Affairs, to help you out with the paperwork for that, but you'll be able to go to Career and Continuing Education. Health and Professional STEM, so that's also under Career Development Center. I mentioned earlier, if you are in a pre-health profession trying to get into medical school, you will actually have a pre-health advisor to help you out. This last year, we had 18 students apply for medical school. All 18 of our students got admitted into medical school. 17 of our students enrolled into the medical school program, and number 18 decided to go into a health administration role. So I still think that's 100% success, but it is good to kind of make sure that we interpret that data correctly. You can be involved in fraternity, sorority life. You can be involved in productions on like what type of events that the campus can have. You can be involved in student government, civic engagement. And again, I mentioned earlier that we're United Methodist affiliated. We do welcome all religions and such onto the campus and viewpoints. And so we actually have 10 different types of religious organizations. And so again, not required, but if a student really values that part of you know, a certain religion and they really want to make sure to continue to practice it, then there will be a space for them to be able to do that. And most likely that religion is already affiliated on the campus to continue practicing it. So you guys have been asking, I see the questions on the questions and answers section, how to apply. I know I've talked about so many fabulous things. We are free to apply, and we are available on our Florida Southern website, on the Common application, and on the Coalition application. So there are many places for you to apply. I do like the Common app personally, just because, you know, for any of you guys who are maybe applying to more than one school in the United States, the Common app will, you know, you'll have one account and you'll be able to see all of us on there. So that is quite nice, as you know, back then when I was applying to school, the average was for a student to apply to 5 schools, 2 schools that were a high reach, a school that they were likely to enroll at, and then 2 schools that were considered safety schools or such, you know. And nowadays, students are applying to almost 15 to 25 schools, and that is a lot to keep track of. So I really appreciate the Common App for being out there. Typically, a student at the who, you know, is completing their high school career will submit a copy of their high school transcripts. It is optional to submit SAT or ACT test scores this year, but if you have them, you can definitely submit them. And letter of recommendation or a personal essay. For India, for example, for those taking the British curriculum, I typically look at your exams scores that way and almost review them at the equivalent of what an SAT or ACT, just because I don't really believe that a SAT for a student who is studying in India really represents them well. However, for those of you that just do exceptionally well, submit it, right? It's always great to highlight your best academic points, but there is opportunity for students who are not the best test takers on the SAT or ACT to submit other things that they may be proud of. We do a holistic approach here, and I work and read all of those essays, and I really care about trying to see whether or not the student is going to be successful academically here at Florida Southern. I do add our class profile just so that you guys know we are still quite competitive with the 51% acceptance rate, and then review that as well. So right now for fall 2021, if you're looking to enroll for, you know, the August 2021 year, then the application is actually already open. We started May 15th is when we opened. And in spring 2021, that starts in January, that is also now open, and I'm already reviewing those students. And so typically in the summer times is when we open the applications in May, and you will be able to apply for free to Florida Southern College, and you would be working with myself on that. I wrote a little bit about transfers. I don't think you guys, anybody may be transferring from a university, but I would be working with students as well on that. So I'll skip over this one for now. I know you guys have also asked about scholarships. International students are eligible to be reviewed for scholarships. So automatically, every student that is admitted to Florida Southern is automatically reviewed for a merit scholarship. This fall 2020, we reviewed up to $21,000 per year. Just to keep you guys, you know, understanding kind of how that works, is that our tuition, room, and board is about $52,000 per the year for a full meal plan, a standard double room, and your tuition. So this can discount you quite a bit For those students with very high academic achievements, there will be, before January 3rd, you would have to be admissible into this to be able to apply for prestige scholarship programs. Those can be anywhere from all expenses covered to tuition. International students are eligible to apply for that. Please work with me if you are interested in that directly on a one-on-one after you've applied, just to make sure that we have everything that we need. Because like I said earlier, it is likely that it will say that you need a certain SAT for that. However, I can do a conversion on your examination results and see if you would be deemed eligible. Typically, once you apply for that, you will be, for the prestige scholarship, you will be reviewed for an interview process. And if admitted into that, you will start that process. That is very nice to do. You'll be able to get an interview with the faculty of the major that you're interested in. Prestige scholars are typically representing the school, doing a lot of interviews, so we want to make sure that you can be pretty well prepared for public speaking and such, which is why they do the interview. And then for those interested in athletic, artistic, musical, or theatrical abilities, there is additional scholarships that you can actually stack on top of your merit or prestige scholarships for talent. You will likely have to major in this. This is actually how I helped pay for my studies, is that I did a double major in international relations and music in order to be able to get a music scholarship. It was difficult. It is difficult to do more than one major at a time, but it was definitely worth it in order to lower my costs. The scholarship for any of these programs can range based off of ability and level. For right now, I know India, you guys are staying at home, staying safe. There is opportunity to submit these auditions over video and do video interviews. So we will work with you. And so that's typically scholarships and aid. Know that for financial aid, we will assess that on a case by case. We do not typically do a full need base at Florida Southern. However, be sure to, again, communicate with your admissions counselor like myself, and we will review your estimated expenses and see how we can make Florida Southern cost effective for you all. And I know that was a lot of information. Please know, visit me on our site, go on our website. You can connect with me on my calendar and we can set up one-on-one Zoom appointments. We can set up on WhatsApp. I'm there. Ooh, let me make sure to send you guys my WhatsApp. But I am going to stop share here and allow for us to go over. I see 17 questions and answers. And so I'm going to see what I can answer. Let's see how many international students you have on a campus and what majors they pursue. So we have over 100 different types of international students going anywhere from the undergraduate to the graduate level. This is students on the F1 student visa. I do have students on other types of visas just because their families may already be here. Children of ambassadors and such are living here, and those are not considered F1. They can be e-visa types. Again, there's so many different types of visa types that you can actually still study. However, traditionally the F1 is more logical. So on the F1, I have about 100, but international students, if we open that up, probably about 300 more students, because we have Florida in itself is a big country of immigration. And so I actually help out with that as well. Majors that they pursue, so many. I have anything from graphic design, youth ministries. I have a student studying communications with a minor in Spanish. What was it? There was one more thing that she was doing, marketing minor. I have a student from Peru that's coming in here. If there's flights available for September 1st start date, who's musical theater. I have a student that I'm picking up today from Romania, who is a computer science major. So there are all different types of majors. We have students in the doctorate level for physical therapy, Vietnam student studying dance. I have a student doing more so. There's a lot more probably in the business administration, just because there's a lot of different types of concentrations with international business, economics, marketing, and such, if I just put them in that umbrella. But the sciences, I have quite a bit studying, either doing that LECOM, Lake Erie College of Osteopathic Medicine program, for example, that they want to do that pathway. So I have quite a bit in that would be under the umbrella of biology. However, that can range anywhere from medical, veterinary to, speech pathology even. So I hope that's helpful. Would there be programs that combine the bachelor's master's program? Yes, so earlier I talked about those 4+1s. So you could do that. For example, if you're doing a bachelor's in business administration, then you could elect your third year, your junior year, you could elect to do a 4+1 and apply, so that your senior year, you would already start doing the dual undergrad and grad courses together at the undergraduate level cost, and then you would finish out your master's in business administration by the next year. So I hope that answers if there's programs about combining master's programs. We have a partnership with Duke to do a master's in environmental sciences. So quite a bit of programs there. The honors program admissions process. So you do the regular admissions process. Honors, you get selected afterwards. So after being admitted into the program, there will be, for those students that are eligible, there will be an email notification, and likely I will try to communicate with you all and say, hey, I think you meet the eligibility for honors, you should apply. However, you can still apply on your own. Just know that there will be an additional criteria and likely an interview process as well, just to make sure that the student will be able to understand the commitment of what an honors program is at Florida Southern. What majors offer research opportunities at Florida Southern College? All majors. So all majors have different types of opportunities within that. Like I said, most like biology majors will start off with the Tiny Earth Initiative, their very first year starting research, but from there you grow. Obviously by your third year, you may not be working with the Tiny Earth Initiative, depending on your interest. For example, physical therapy, exercise science will start probably their third year already work and do clinical hours. And so from there, they can apply their research towards what their clinical may be. So it varies. I'm just assuming under research opportunities for there, but I know for psychology, there's an animal behavior course. And so students may start off and do that. We also have a neuroscience minor. And so that one will typically start around the third year as well with I forgot what the name of the research center is called, but there's a research, Watson Clinic has a neurosciences office. And so typically our students will go there. And then would the study abroad take place during the semester or during summer breaks? You have both options for that. So typically in the fall and the spring, we have a fall break and a spring break, which is about 1 week. And that's when most of our students will do their 1 week semester break. However, there is a trip, for example, in Germany for business students that's actually 3 weeks long. And so you start at pretty much instead of going home for the summer, you would finish up classes in May and then just go on a plane and go to Germany instead and do your 3 week trip there. And then you would be able to go home right afterwards. So each one varies, and each semester our programs vary. So it is based off of student interest and need. Typically the professor will ask where students want to go and see if, hey, we got to do this type of research. Where would you guys want to go? So need and interest. Hence why Hawaii has been very, very high with volcanic research. But yes. And then would the study abroad location be of our choice based on our major, or would Florida Southern College choose a location? You have the option of doing your own, picking your own outside of your major. So again, like if you're a psychology major, but like you really want to tag sharks in Bimini, like you can do that. There's actually a gen ed requirement that you have to do a science with a lab. So you can choose to do the marine science lab that way. And therefore it still technically applies towards your general education requirement. But you should do your study abroad trip with your major of interest, because again, when you're interviewing for your internship later on or your employment, you want to be able to say that this is how I applied my major in an international setting. So that's my personal opinion, but yes, students will go to Spain just because they want to go to Spain to do their Spanish language instruction and poder hablar en español como yo. And so they want to try to speak Spanish like me. And they go over there and they'll be, you know, non-Spanish majors, but there is a gen ed requirement for Bachelor's of Arts degrees if they want to do more foreign languages. So it works. And so let's see, how can we pursue an interdisciplinary program of communication and computer science at Florida Southern College for an undergraduate degree? So if you want to do a dual degree, that's perfectly fine. Computer science and communications are actually under the same umbrella of arts and sciences, right? So that's totally doable. We would have to look at your coursework and make sure that you can do it, but there is elective opportunities within computer science where you can do like a focus. So you can apply your communication. It's called double dipping because you're applying one course towards 2 degrees, but you can apply for computer science, take a communications class, apply it there as an elective, and then still be towards your major for communication. So it's quite fun to do that. I'm sorry if I get a little bit too technical on that end, but know that at the point of a student declaring a double major beforehand, we would work with setting up still that plan for, you know, 4 years beforehand. And we do have our academic catalog on our website where you can actually view all the coursework requirements for communication and all the coursework requirement for all of our majors, really, including computer science. Computer science has different concentrations within that. Again, totally doable, but there's something like artificial intelligence, supercomputing, cybersecurity, for example. I know there's AI and machine learning as well. So quite a few things within that. Again, communications would definitely complement computer science quite well. So that one would not be a problem. Computer science and nursing, that may be difficult, just saying. Can you please share information on Indian food? Oh my goodness, where's Ahad? Okay, so my my student worker, Ahad is a US citizen. He was born and raised in Portland, Oregon, but he is of Indian descent. So we always talk about this food, but we'll do specialty culture days, and Ahad has personally submitted recipes over to make sure that the buttered chicken is done exactly as it should be. So there is there, but right near our campus in the downtown area, there is a restaurant called Roadies, which is quite good. And then we have another one, which to me actually always made it seem like it was Spanish because it was called Mangoes. So I apologize for assuming that, but Mangoes is actually an Indian restaurant as well. Which in my opinion, Mangoes is actually better than Roadies, but you know, each one their own. And so those two are within a 5 kilometer radius, but in our cafeteria, they will, again, it's just based off of like students' needs and wants. So like if there are more students that want more Indian food, then they will offer it more often. And then there are some restaurants nearby that oftentimes, like Roadies has come to campus and brought food to the cafeteria. And so we did like a highlight of a restaurant. We'll do that every now and again too, which is quite nice. So yes, we can talk more about food all day. I'm actually quite hungry right now and it's 9 a.m. so I should not be that hungry. Can students start their own clubs? Yes, we have over 150 clubs and organizations. All have been initially started out by students, so we definitely encourage that. You do need to corral, you know, recruit about 5 students to start an organization if we don't already have it here, but it is quite easy. You would start over with Student Solutions, as I mentioned, and kind of talk to them and make sure, for example, if it's a national organization of such or international organization, that we follow the bylaws for that organization and make sure that the recruitment process is fair as well. Is it possible for Indian students to join the college sports team, or is it generally very difficult to do the competitive nature? So college sports are actually very international student friendly. It's just what's competitive about it is that depending on the sport that you're going to do, you need to look at the roster of the current athletes that are in it, because oftentimes if it's a position type sport, so a sport like football, right? And I say football meaning soccer, right? Because that is real football. There are specific positions. So just because you play that sport doesn't mean that you can play all the positions. Typically, you're specialized in one position or two. And so you need to make sure that the current team roster is probably at their senior status, that those positions are about to leave, and therefore the coach is looking for that sport. It is important typically for a Division II sport like us for you to be in a national team. However, for sports like swimming and track, which is more so about times, we have listed on our website the times that you would need in order to even be considered. They are quite fast, but again, and then we probably have to do a whole other information session about it, but for NCAA, you'll have to be in the NCAA Eligibility Center. You need to be approved through that in order to even start being recruited on the sports side. If you want more information, we can definitely talk about that on a one-on-one, but again, NCAA and trying to maneuver around that. If you guys do not, hey, Kunal, Parag, tours, maybe you guys should, if you haven't, I'm sure you probably have one about just like NCAA guidelines and how to be recruited for a sport. It's a whole other ballgame, and you need to keep track of that because you'll likely have to do an application for your schools and then keep track of the applications for your sports. But again, NCAA Eligibility Center is where most sports are. There is another league organization called NAIA that you would have to do on there. And then you can look at that. Division II and Division I are typically likely to give out scholarships. Division III, it is likely that there will not be scholarships for that. So the more scholarship awarded, then the more competitive it is. But I hope that helps a little bit in guidelines. Remember, go to NCAA Eligibility Center to kind of start the athletic recruitment process, and you do need to start quite early, typically around age 16, so sophomore, junior year, you need to already start working on that. It is very, very hard as a senior to try to get that. Just know that coaches already give offers around this time for fall 2021, so you have to start very early. What would be your campus size and nearest international airport? So we are lucky to be in, our campus size is about 3,500 students. I forgot how many acres, it's quite large, but small. We're considered across the nation as a small campus. And nearest airport, we have the Lakeland Regional Airport that is located in Lakeland, but today I will be driving to the Tampa International Airport, which is about a 45-minute drive to pick up Sylvian from Romania today. And then we have MCO, which is the Orlando Airport, and that is about an hour's drive to get to that airport. So it's not too bad. And again, typically one of the admissions counselors, if you're flying by yourself, will come and pick you up from the airport and bring you into campus. So we do like to do that just to make sure you are feeling welcome. And you know, it's quite a long flight. So for college visits, when would students be allowed to visit campus with their parents? We already offer tours and there are flights coming in. Obviously right now there are some quarantine regulations with that, but for Florida, you are allowed to come on tour. Know that you have to wear your mask. So we have these little Florida Southern masks. You will get temp checked when you come in, and you will be able to go on a tour. We have tours that are coming through. We're doing them very individualized. So you do have to be in a group no more than 6 people. And yeah, it's all open. We just walk around the campus. We are allowed to go into some buildings and some we are not allowed to go into at this time. with the current pandemic, but you guys are more than welcome to please reach out to me and let me know if you're coming to visit Florida. You can land in the Orlando airport, the Lakeland airport, or the Tampa airport, which will all be under 1 hour's drive from the campus. And we have local accommodations as well on our website added that also give group rates. I know the Fairfield Inn and Suites gives a specific rate for even families coming to visit Florida Southern College students. So very nice. More information about your current Indian students and majors they pursue. I didn't pull that data today. I'm so sorry. Current India, so this year for fall 2020, I did not have any students from India coming in, just because it's very difficult unless they were already here in the United States. But we have, again, we're a small school, so we have about 5 or 6 true F1 students from India. However, I'm sure we all know that Kritika is quite a common name. And like I said, Ahad, like those are 2 students that are ambassadors here that give out tours, and they are actually not considered international students since they are US citizens whose parents immigrated from India. Florida is just a large immigration land point. So I'm a daughter of immigrants. My father is from Venezuela and my mother is from Nicaragua. So yeah, Florida in itself is just very diverse, where you'll probably be like, Carla said there was only 5 students from India, but I see that there are way more on here. And that's because, again, I only track F1 students as considered international. However, Florida in itself is quite a culture state of many just different places. And you'll talk to somebody and they'll say, oh, well, my mom is from here, my dad is from here, they met here, and here I am. It's quite lovely, I think, to see all the different cultures on the campus. Regarding the internships, would they be paid and related to our major? It's actually required as of now to have some sort of benefits. So it's not always paid, but there has to be a benefit, but it is required to be related to your major in order for CPT to even work. So it's very important for us with the international student population to make sure that you have that. We do offer CPT, and we do have the Career Center to help you out with looking for places and how to interview well for those. So we prepare you. It has to be as part of your major as an international student. With CPT, you cannot do an internship outside of your major. So we will make sure to get that, as we guarantee as part of our guarantees that you will land your internship. All of our international students have done their internship on our campus. It's very important to me that we make sure that that is done. When you say test optional, do you refer for admissions or for scholarships? Test optional is for admissions. We are going to offer scholarships, however, for all students. And we have not made a determination for fall 2021 on how that's going to look. But please know, again, as your international admissions counselor, I am your advocate. So I try to get you guys the highest that I can. And so again, if you're taking British examinations, for example, or your Indian certificates of such, when you get those results, I will vouch, do the equivalent conversion, show the level of competitiveness of what you've received, and vouch and advocate for you to get the highest scholarship awarded. That's just a big thing for me, as we welcome different cultures. I don't always expect you guys to meet all of our US-centric requirements. So I do try to do as well as I can to advocate for you all and get you guys the best offers possible. So again, test optional. It is for admissions purposes. In order to get reviewed for admissions, we just switched over to this for this 2021 year. And around October is actually when our scholarship matrix will be up to date, because we have to get it approved by the board. But one of the recommendations obviously on there for internationals is to be reviewed with other types of exams. And I hope that's helpful. Not every school is like this. Some of them, especially if they're like a state school, they have to adhere by the state regulations. So it may be totally different, and it is good to keep a spreadsheet of some sort and keep track of which school does what, because we're all unique. What would be your English language proficiency tests? So I don't require English language proficiency tests for schools where the medium of instruction is in English. So most schools in India that I've seen, So far, our English language is part of the medium of instruction. So you all would not be having to take tests. However, if for whatever reason the school that you're studying at is not taking, is not instructed in English, then you could submit SAT, ACT, you can submit examination results on the British side, Cambridge side, or you can submit a Duolingo English test. I'm not really promoting TOEFL or IELTS right now. I know that maybe they're sending out possible tests, but Duolingo English test is the safest, I think, right now with the pandemic, because you can take it from home. And I really want you guys to stay safe. I do not want you guys to go out into a place where we would be going against, you know, being safe. And so I don't want anybody getting coronavirus because of trying to take an exam. You can take Duolingo English tests at home. Harvard, MIT, Florida Southern is accepting these tests. At Florida Southern, I would say a competitive Duolingo English test is about a 120. But 110, a 115 would be admissible. And we do have this on our website as well under international. You will be able to see that as well. And you can always message me on that. Again, I don't know if TOEFL or IELTS have added proper testing sites for them, but I don't want you guys to go out of your house or try to expose yourself if you don't have to. And Duolingo English test is letting you guys take it from home. So yay! What are the typical living expenses when studying at Florida Southern, and some basic part-time jobs offered to offset part of living costs? So on average, a standard double room and a full meal plan is $12,006 for the academic year. That your first year, you're required to have a full meal plan. After that, you can, you know, if you end up getting an apartment of such, then you would not need a full meal plan, and you can actually lower your meal plan after your first year. So that first year will be $12,006. Some basic part-time jobs on the campus. You can be an ambassador and give tours, like Ahad and Kritika do here. And that's really nice. You typically just meet people, families, and take them around campus. We are doing social distance. It is all open outside, and you stick with your 6 feet of distance, which I'm sorry. And as far as like feet is a US metric system, so apologies for that. But you do stay within your social distancing and do that. We have telecounselors, so students who help me reach out to other applicants. They do a lot of phone calling. Typically on WhatsApp, we just pull all of our new applicants, and I have my students, sorry, I use Ahad a lot. He actually does, like, he's not here right now because he's still in Portland, but when he comes, like, he will be working in my office with me. And so he will be doing phone calls for my students, all applying, and see if, you know, they want to hear from a student perspective. I always think that's quite nice. I know that you all love talking to me, working with me, but sometimes the student may want to just hear from another student, and or maybe about their major from a student perspective. And so I try to make sure that that's something, and that is a paid job just for a student to talk to other students. You could work in the, for let's say a computer science major, there is jobs within there. So you could work on campus in the labs. You could be a tutor. You can be a teaching assistant. Teaching assistants at Florida Southern are a little bit different because they don't teach the class, but they do help grade and review paperwork for the professor, and they do help run small group sessions if there's any group work for or research paper. They do assist with that. So at Florida Southern, we don't have teaching assistants teaching our classes. We really do think that that should be the professor to do that. But yeah, there's different types of jobs on the campus that students can do. You can be a lifeguard at the pool. You can be a Zumba instructor in the health and wellness center. So lots of different things. This is not something that is going to you know, help pay for all of your expenses, but anything personal expenses, you get paid about minimum wage, and you can work up to 20 hours a week. That can be anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 a semester. Know that students get really busy within their organizations and their coursework, so it is quite difficult to even try to get to those 20 hours just because it is likely that you're just doing a lot more homework and things, but you can get a job like cover the receptionist during lunchtime, and that's a really good advantage to maybe do some homework. Will scholarships be renewable or only for first year basis? Your academic merit scholarship is renewable for a freshman, for example, for 4 years. It will be a GPA requirement, so a grade point average of what the student will need to do to maintain their scholarship, but it is renewable for all 4 years. Each letter, if you ever receive like outside scholarships and such, you will be able to see your letter and it will determine that. So anything on the institutional side is typically for all 4 years, and your letter will say this is how much you've been offered for the academic year and this is how much it totals to for all 4 years. This is the requirement for your scholarship, which is quite nice. Could I please go over a breakdown of tuition, fee, and other costs at Florida Southern College? Again, total cost is about $51,136. That's $38,980 right now for fall 2020 of the academic year for tuition. Room and board is $12,006, so that's a standard double room and a full meal plan. This can vary depending on what the student chooses and where they live, but I like to go on the high end of things. And then there is a $100 orientation fee. We typically have international students show up 1 week before classes start to review. And then, let me see, then there is a $50 security escort, which will be a GPS keychain button that you can hit for first year students. As I mentioned, were designed by Frank Lloyd Wright. And this man made the buildings very beautiful, but can also be a little bit confusing. So it is important to have that. And, you know, if you get lost or something like that, you can hit that and somebody from security will come and get you. Only required for first year students as they get oriented with the campus. So again, that totals at about $51,136 for tuition, other fees and costs. And remember that we offer scholarship opportunities. Are there some advantages of enrolling the honors program over the regular program? So my big thing is that the honors program allows you to take additional credit hours at no additional cost. So this is a big savings because it will be likely that a student in an honors program will be able to graduate earlier just because they were able to take more courses at no additional cost. And therefore graduate earlier, which will save you a semester's worth of fees. And if somebody's even submitting coursework credits, like I said, the advanced credit options with like the A levels, for example, then they may even graduate up to a year earlier, which will save you a year's worth of tuition. So the honors program, that in itself to me is, you know, when you're thinking as a parent, that is a money saver right there. However, other advantages is being invited into honors conferences and such, and being typically first to schedule classes. So first to be able to have the schedule that you want versus being freshmen will be, regular freshmen will be last to schedule their classes in the criteria. So it'll be honors and seniors first, juniors, sophomores, and then freshmen. Okay, and then it looks like we are done with the questions. So I will go ahead and send in the chat here to all the panelists my contact information, southern.edu, and then my WhatsApp is here. Calendly.com/kragosa. So I sent on there my email, my WhatsApp number, and my Calendly is actually where you can set up and get on my Outlook calendar, and we can set up another Zoom, Skype, WhatsApp, whatever we want to figure out. I am open to all the technologies out there. But thank you so much. These are really good questions. You guys are so well prepared. You had me thinking.
Thank you so much, Carla. We really appreciate you, you taking your kind time in hosting this wonderful session. I mean, there were such rich insights, not only about the session topic, but also about the institution. And definitely I got to learn a thing or two. So thank you so much for, hosting this session and for agreeing to meet with the 12th grade students, parents, and high school counselors. We know it's once again early in the morning. So we truly appreciate your kind time and support once again.
Of course, of course. Ooh, and I forgot, maybe I'll send it to you, the PDF for the F1 student visa process. And that way it can be shared for anybody who may want to take something with them. I know that was a lot of information, and you will have the links to reference to all the government sites.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Carla. I will definitely pass this on to high school counselors so they can share it with their students and parents. Counselors, thank you so much for making your students available this late in the evening. We know it's post 7 p.m. here in India. Truly appreciate your kind time and support. Parents, thank you so much for joining us. Students, we know after a long day of school, thank you once again to you as well for being so well engaged and for asking all these wonderful questions to Ms. Carla. We truly appreciate your kind time and support. One last point before we wrap up for the day, counselors, this session is recorded. So if there were other students who were not able to join for today's session because of some scheduling conflicts, please kindly forward this recording session to them, which will be forwarding to you in the next 24 hours. So other students can learn more about the F1 student visa process and also about Florida Southern College and be in touch directly with Ms. Carla. And I'm sure many of these conversations will continue well past after this workshop session is over. But thank you to everyone. Thank you to our wonderful panelist, Ms. Carla, for joining us and for your kind time this morning. Thank you once again. And thank you, of course, to the students, parents, and counselors. I wish you all a wonderful day. And Ms. Carla, I sincerely look forward to keeping in touch with you as well. Thank you once again, Ms. Carla.
Take care, guys, and stay safe.
Thank you
Bye.
once again. Wish you a nice day. Take care. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.